further ado, if we could all stand up, inshallah, form our lines. If there is a spot in front of you, it has your name written on it. So please proceed forth, fill in that gap. Once we form the lines, it is easier for us to begin the prayer once the iqamah is called. Keep in mind, many people spend the time listening to the khutbah standing up outside in the rotunda area. So if you could move forward, fill in the gaps. Once you see that your line is complete, please have a seat. May Allah subhanahu accept from us all. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأكمل لنا ديننا وأتم علينا نعمه فرضي لنا الإسلام دينا فلا نعبد إلا إياه ولا نستعين إلا به. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة فجزاه الله عنا وعن كل المسلمين خيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. My dear respected elders, brothers and sisters, and fellow children in Islam, Behind us is the month of devotional opportunities, i.e. Ramadan. Ahead of us is the month of selfless dedication, i.e. the Hajj. Between the two is one of the 4 sacred months, i.e. Dhul Qa'dah. What is missing in all these 3 though is a quality we speak much about, but we see little of. Its continuous absence is giving a bad name to the faith as a whole. It is being preached a lot, but it is not being practiced even a little. I make this claim today here standing before you because the fact is that the reality on the ground is much different than the word on the shelves. Let's be real to each other. We hate each other. We despise one another. Close ones have expectations from their families and their best friends. That in itself is wrong. People who are far from one another feel that that distance is there because those who are far from them do not qualify for their love because of their inability to meet your personal expectation. That thought of in itself is evil. The Ummah remains far, cold, full of assumptions and spite. Truly we are instruments of harm one to another. In our vocabulary today, in our world today, mercy is just a word. Compassion is a heavenly quality. Love is a fantasy. Care for one another in the absence of tit for tat is what I deem mission impossible. Whereas our religion teaches us, on authority of Abu Hamza, Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu narrates, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you are a believer. None of you are a believer. The way that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam framed these sentences, which in return became traditions and hadith, have to be reflected upon. He made it clear from the get-go what your state is. None of you will believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. All of us have heard this hadith. Many of us might have spoken of this hadith. Many of us might have referenced this hadith at a time when we felt that we were exempted from the brotherhood or sisterhood of another. But how come this simple one-liner in our religion is yet to be found in the masses in our ummah? Maybe it's because we do not understand what is the definition of brotherhood and sisterhood. Maybe we feel brotherhood is something that a person gives me something, then I give them back. They are now my brother or sister. Maybe it means someone who's from my town or village that shares the same thoughts or ideologies, that has the same hobbies and likes that I do. Maybe that person is my brother or my sister. But anyone who falls short of the criteria that I have formed for myself, they are not considered a brother or a sister in my eyes. Brothers and sisters, this is exactly where the flaw lies. Who is your brother? Everyone's your brother. Who is your sister? Everyone is your sister. Color, creed, race, social status, all this is put aside. There is no criteria. There is no bar. Everyone is a brother or a sister one to another. If we understand this, then we will be able to understand the hadith just quoted. And if we then understand the hadith that was just quoted, then we will be able to understand the obligation that comes alongside it. In the hadith that حدثنا يحيى بن بكير حدثنا الليث عن عقيل عن أبي شهاب أن سالما أخبره أن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما أخبره أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه ولا يسلمه، ومن كان في حاجة أخيه كان الله في حاجته، ومن فرج عن مسلم كربة فرج الله عنه كربة من كربات يوم القيامة، ومن ستر مسلما ستره الله يوم القيامة. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. He should not oppress him, nor should he hand him over to an oppressor. Whoever fulfilled the needs of his brother, Allah will fulfill his needs. Whoever brought his Muslim brother out of discomfort, Allah will bring him out of the discomforts of the day of resurrection. And whoever screened a Muslim, Allah will screen him on the day of resurrection. It is simple. This is not rocket science. What you're doing today is gonna help you tomorrow. And what you are adamant to refrain from today is gonna hurt you today and tomorrow. Go on, continue talking about other people. Allah will remove the veil between you and Him on the Day of Judgment, so the entire creation, even the followers of Adam alayhi salam, could know you by the name of your father and what you did in the darkness and what you did in light. Go on, talk. Hurt each other today. So on the Day of Judgment, Allah will not hold back the pain He can inflict upon you for the pain that you've caused upon yourself through your misdeeds. Go on. We're doing it very fine as it is. In order to receive mercy, compassion, love, and caring natures amongst us, we need to understand today what is empathy. For the driving force in Islam was empathy. And today we need to revive empathy amongst us. If you look in the dictionary, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, i.e., putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Even when we do good today, we don't put ourselves in that person's shoes. Matter of fact, we make them cringe in their own shoes. We will give charity. We will take a selfie. We will make that person who already feels like garbage as if they want to go into a dump and just kill themselves. There was a time in Islam when you gave charity because you knew you needed to do it, not that they needed to receive it. Allah will take care of anyone. No one needs you. Allah does not need you. You are not important. I am not important. Allah will do away with me and bring better people than me. Allah will do away with us and bring better than us. I swear by Allah, He said it in the Quran, He will do it if we don't straighten up. Brotherhood and sisterhood through the scope of empathy and love is a state when you begin to feel others before you feel yourself. When has there been a day in my life when I never complained? When has there ever been a morning that I woke up and said, Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur, in a way that I truly meant that Alhamdulillah. That back pain. Those knees. I'm late for work. Those kids are making noise. It's always complains and complains and complains. How then can we feel others? When you mold yourself to be like them and to understand their situation and not run and mold yourself to be beyond them or away from them, you are now starting to feel them. When you sit with the poor and be one of them to the extent that it gives hope to them despite who they are. This is called empathy. When you sit with the sick and you feel their sickness so much that your mere presence helps them feel better without medication. This happens because you feel them and you know their state. But that can only happen when we make the effort to do so. And that effort could only begin when we stop thinking about ourselves. And we could only stop thinking about ourselves when we understand that we are brothers and sisters one to another. And we could only think in lines of that when we understand the grand picture of things. If you tell someone to care about someone, they'll say, no. Wait. No one cares about me. Why should I care about anyone else? No one asks about my situation. Why should I ask about someone else's? Again, the tit-for-tat mentality. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You refrain from coming close to me, don't even say salam to me. And that is why, my dear brothers and sisters, that is why images like that of Oscar and baby Valeria don't move us. Many of us here don't even know what I'm talking about. And if I was to ask you point blank, do you know who Oscar and Valeria is? And you say no, you'll say, well, because I'm just trying to mind my own business. Why do I need to know who they are? When you claim to mind your business, when the fire is raging, is exactly the reason why we are today talking about empathy, because there is none. As we see that lifeless body of a father and his daughter by the border of America drowned in water, and if it doesn't move you, that was Oscar and Valeria, if that doesn't move you, you will drown with your children, and I pray to Allah that He guides you before that happens, because we're not going to be moved even at that moment. We have lost empathy, brothers and sisters, a critical quality that defines the Muslim Ummah is lost. What good then is prayers followed by backbiting? What good then is of charity followed by hurt and pain? That is why people are running from Islam, and it is right for them to run, because that isn't Islam. That isn't Islam. Islam was where وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Take that verse home with you. Put it in your mind that they gave preference over themselves even though they were in a dire need. Their children went to sleep hungry, crying. Their stomach was growling, but they cooked the little food they had and they fed it to a guest that they never knew. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Our entire deen is based on empathy. Sad for us, we don't feel it today. So in today's khutbah titled The Void of Empathy, we want to understand the following four things. Number one, the definition of prophetic empathy. Number two, the importance of empathy. Number three, the virtues and examples of empathy. And number four, last but not least, the steps to adopting empathy. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the merciful, the kind, the loving and the caring, that He opens my heart and our heart to have a quality known as empathy in our lives, where we put others before ourselves, where we are grateful and content with our degree and do our best to help others become better. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Number one, prophetic empathy. If we talk about empathy in our Habib Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what's the correlation? When you look in the Holy Quran in chapter number 9, verse number 128, you find that empathy was his core. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. There has certainly come to you a messenger from amongst yourself. He is a messenger. He is a child from the children of your people. He didn't come down from heaven or migrate from another place. He was born amidst you. min anfusikum. He's like you. You're like him. It's a beautiful reason why Allah said, Rasulun min anfusikum. He's from you. To show that closeness, the physical closeness, because if you understand how close we are physically, we can be even closer emotionally. Grievous to him is what you suffer. When you suffer, it hurts him. When you're in pain, he sheds tears. When you cry, he cries the whole night. That is my Habib Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But people are dying today. Genocide is happening today in our ummah, and we're saying it's their fault. It's their fault. It's their business. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam cried for humanity before Jibreel alayhi salam held them close and gave them the first verse of the Quran. He cared for people before the teachings of how to care for people was given to him. Brothers and sisters, you have to have love to share love. You have to care in order to create a caring atmosphere. Grievous to him is what you suffer. Concerned, he is concerned over you. Constantly looking out. At time of Fajr prayer, he would turn around after the prayer was done and he would ask of those who were not there. Why? He cared about them. Today, if we ask because we want to put someone down. Look at the difference. We use the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ asked about the people. He asked because he cared about them. He cared about them enough. He knew their name. He knew their condition. He wanted to make sure that they were okay. To the believers, he is kind and merciful. So prophetic empathy is very clear. It is his core, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself describes it. The importance of empathy. There are many cases, there are many hadiths that tells us of the importance of empathy. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the believers in their mutual kindness, compassion and sympathy are like one body. When one of the limbs suffer, the whole body responds to it with wakefulness and fever. We know this hadith. Our body is having a fever of over 105, forget 102 and 3. Our bodies are trembling in pain. No one is waking up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا قَتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةِ فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ أَوْ إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ يَتِيمًا ذَا مَقْرَبَةٍ أَوْ مِسْكِينًا ذَا مَتْرَبَةٍ. And what can make you know what is breaking through the difficult path? It is the freeing of a slave, or feeding on a day of severe hunger, an orphan or a near relative, or a needy person in misery, and then being amongst those who believed and advised one another to patience and advised one another to compassion. Allah is telling us here in chapter number 90, you do your part and then you tell people to bear with patience. You help those who are in a state of destitute and hunger and afflicted with harm. You do your part and then you tell them to be patient. Today we just turn to people and say, hey, it's okay, Allah's testing you, be patient. I don't want to do anything for you, Allah will take care of you, be patient. Empathy's importance is by this tradition that I stated and these verses of the Holy Quran, that how important is it for us to have empathy amongst us. Many examples of empathy are in the life of our Habib Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One account, there was a people of a miserable tribe. They were in very harsh conditions. They once came to the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they had no shoes on, and their skin was stuck to their bones because of hunger. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Bilal radiallahu anhu to call the adhan. The people were gathered, and everyone did their part to generously help them. Adhan was called to bring the masses together because the need in front of them was something that they couldn't turn their eye away from. They saw it, they had to do something. Adhan is called for prayer. Adhan was also called at the time of Rasulullah to gather the masses if something of importance had occurred. The Prophet ﷺ's empathy was not only to humans, it was also with the animals. We know that once the Prophet ﷺ saw a camel that was skin and bones, and upon seeing it, he began to cry. He saw a camel, an animal, a creation of Allah that's been created to serve humanity, skin and bones, and my Habib ﷺ is crying. It wasn't his camel, it wasn't his best friend's camel, it was a camel. And the camel complained to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of the condition that it was in. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ warned its owner of such treatment. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is leading prayer, and a mother is struggling with her child. The child is crying, and our Habib ﷺ would shorten the prayer because he knew that this is part of having empathy. Let the mother not suffer or divert her attention. Finish the prayer so that she could tend to her child. There are two aspects of empathy: cognitive and affective. Cognitive empathy is about understanding another person's point of view, their emotions and needs at an intellectual level. Many of these examples are affective empathy. There was an incident when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Sahaba returned from a delegation, from a war. And they had the mal, the booty from the war. And the Prophet ﷺ gave the new Muslims more than he gave to the pioneer Muslims. And some of them showed dissatisfaction to his decision. Remember one thing, brothers and sisters. You all are responsible in your spheres of life to make the right decision. People may never be happy with your decision, but you're responsible to make the right decision. As a husband and a wife, as a parent, as a child, as an employer or an employee. So he saw from them dissatisfaction. So one of them did inquire, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we are pioneers to Islam. We have devoted for Islam. They're new to Islam. We should deserve more than them. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told them, they are new to Islam. They deserve more kindness and understanding, more compassion and more love. It was his intellectual decision that he made, and people may not have agreed with it, but he stood firm to his decision. We today question the empathetic gestures of one another, crying injustice. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ nipped it as soon as he could. Not only did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ show empathy to those who were near to him and dear to him, his whole life, empathy was his trait or quality with Abu Jahl. It was his quality with Abu Sufyan. It was his quality with Hinda. They may have been low in their ways, but he never went low because of how they were. He kept himself on a standard to such an extent that they had no choice, for many of them, but to join that standard. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revive empathy amongst us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for the evil thoughts, the evil ways, the evil ideas that we harbor. Allow us to cleanse ourselves before Allah cleanses us from this earth. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. My brothers and sisters in Islam, it is the void of this same empathy that today's families hate one another. Communities are fighting with one another. Deplorable words are flying in Ramadan, and hurtful actions are perpetrated in the Hajj. So last but not least, what are the steps of adopting empathy in my life? I want to share with you the advice my teacher gave to me when I visited him in Panama a few years ago. He said to me the following words: love yourself, love the creation, and love the teaching that taught you to love. Empathy has to begin with you. In a world of comparison, we find criticism of ourselves blocking us from showing empathy to ourselves. We're not happy with ourselves. We're comparing ourselves. We're comparing our looks, our stature, our weight, our height, our clothing, our surroundings, our living standards. Brothers and sisters, we have not shown empathy to ourselves. Accept yourself for who you are, because remember, there is no one on this earth like you. Be kind to yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not do a mistake by granting you existence. He made you perfectly. Don't see what you claim to be imperfections. See the beauty of Allah in you. And lastly, if you're at a stage where you want to hurt yourself, know that you don't belong to yourself. Be careful how you treat this body. My dear Muslims, once we can accept ourselves in our own shoes, we can start putting ourselves in other people's shoes. The Ummah has not faced such a time in its past where people are so caught up in themselves, in their ways, in their ideologies, in their opinions, in their decisions, that it has blinded them from seeing the bigger picture. We all are victim of this, my brothers and sisters. It is time that we break out of this bubble. Once we do that for ourselves, I swear by Allah, we will capitalize on empathy for others. And when you show empathy towards others, you will find Allah. I end with a hadith, a tradition recorded by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah will say on the Day of Judgment, O son of Adam, I was hungry and you didn't feed me. The son of Adam will say, كَيْفَ أُطْعِمُكَ وَأَنْتَ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. How could I feed you? You're the Lord of the world, O Allah. You're saying you're hungry, you're the Lord of the world. Allah will say, so and so was hungry. If you fed them, you would have found me. O son of Adam, I was thirsty. How could I feed you? How could I quench your thirst? You're Rabbul Alameen. You're the Lord of the world. Allah will say, so and so was thirsty. If you had quenched their thirst, you would have found me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then say, O son of Adam, I became sick and you didn't visit me. You know, there was these skits done on social media where a celebrity is walking the streets and standing next to common people, and those common people are so engrossed in their life, they don't even know who's next to them. We're walking on a street that says don't walk and getting hit by cars because we are so caught up with ourselves. If you can't see the person next to you, how will you see Allah? We drive by, walk by, pass by people who are crying with pain, but we can't see their pain because they're updating our status on the cell phone. What a curse has come on us. What has this curse done to us? O son of Adam, I was sick and you didn't visit me. How could I visit you? You're Rabbul Alameen. Allah will say, so and so was sick. If you made the effort to visit them, you would have found me there. Know, my dear brothers and sisters, know this very clearly, that when you care for others, you will solve your own problems. We learn from the tradition, when a Muslim puts their hands up and says, oh Allah, my brother is sick, give them shifa. Allah appoints angels who say, Ameen, and may Allah give you shifa also. When a brother puts his hand up and say, oh Allah, help my brothers and sisters, Allah will appoint angels that will say, Ameen, and may Allah help you also. What could be better than when you are in a state of desperation, that you reach out and help others and gain the du'as of the angels who do not sin, who are close to Allah. Allah will accept their du'as for you as Allah will accept your du'a for your Muslim brother or sister. So in conclusion, we listened to another khutbah today, and we listened to many in the past. The question is, are we willing to do what needs to be done? We send salutations and blessings upon Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who called on to Allah, who prayed to Allah, who implored Allah, and who said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma la aisha illa aishul akhirah. Oh Allah, there is no life but the next life, the world of the next life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad, abdika wa rasulika al-nabi al-ummi, وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق، وأعمالنا من الرياء، وألسننا من الكذب، وعيوننا من الخيانة، فإنك تعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها، أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. آمين يا رب العالمين، آمين يا رب العالمين، آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Please ensure that our lines are straight. Stand shoulder to shoulder. The edge of our heel should be on the edge of the line. Please ensure the line in front of us is complete on both sides before we form a second line.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.